cup of coffee might actually do you good. Now, I know that many of you who've given up coffee may be thinking that it's better for your health not to drink it. Well, my research has actually led me to drink more coffee. Yeah, more coffee than ever. So I have maybe 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day, but only up until around 2 o'clock so as not to disturb my sleep. So why am I such a fan? Well, I would actually go so far as to describe coffee as a superfood, if I'm honest. One of the strongest pieces of evidence for me was a huge meta-analysis that was conducted in 2017, published in the BMJ, and in that researchers looked at over 200 studies, and they concluded that coffee is actually really good for us, providing we're not pregnant. The UK government currently recommends a maximum of 200 milligrams a day of caffeine while pregnant. That's about 1 strong cup. But the results from the BMJ, the British Medical Journal study, found that those who drink 3 or more cups a day have a reduced risk of some of our deadliest diseases, including chronic liver disease, Parkinson's, leukemia, to name a few. Plus, there was also a huge American study that found that drinking coffee was associated with living longer. 12% for men, 7% for women. And this was true even for decaffeinated coffee. So it's not just the caffeine having this effect. And the reason why coffee may be so beneficial for us is that there are a number of bioactives in each cup. One polyphenol called chlorogenic acid has actually been linked to cardiovascular health and weight loss, while other polyphenols found in coffee have been linked to lower blood pressure. And it's worth knowing that if caffeine makes you feel a bit jittery or a bit anxious, opting for a high phenolic coffee might be a good option, because the polyphenols can help to reduce the side effects of caffeine. And interestingly, also, instant coffee holds its own in terms of polyphenol compounds too. Its benefits are pretty much equal to freshly ground coffee. But I do want to mention, though, that instant coffee contains around twice as much acrylamide, and that is a not so nice chemical formed during a reaction between amino acids and carbohydrates when it's heated, and that's been linked to cancer. But on the plus side, instant coffee has around 1/3 less caffeine and a far milder taste, so that maybe makes it a better choice for those who prefer a weaker brew or those who are caffeine sensitive. And before we finish here, I do want to talk a little bit about mould, because it's been getting a bit of airtime recently. You might have heard a bit of talk around mould in coffee, so that's increasingly being raised as a point of potential concern for coffee lovers. Why? Well, mycotoxins have been found in coffee beans, especially in the natural green form of the beans before they get roasted. And a study in 2015 by researchers at the University of Valencia in Spain found that over half of the samples of coffee tested actually contained aflatoxin. That's a mycotoxin commonly associated with peanuts. They concluded that their results were, quote, not alarming. So why is there mould in the first place? Well, mould occurs where there's humidity, like where I am today, and there are many opportunities along the supply chain for coffee beans to become damp and encourage mycotoxins. And the longer the beans are left green and unroasted, the more likely they are to become contaminated. Now, while it's not considered a significant health risk yet, those with a chronic health condition such as a kidney or liver disease, because that's where the coffee is broken down and processed in the body, should probably consider limiting their intake. So how can we make sure that the coffee we're buying is giving us all the benefits and none of the mould? Well, my tip would actually be to consider spending a little bit more on your coffee beans, but drinking fewer cups, so the extra cost balances out. And there are also a few fundamentals that we can look out for on the label. So I would say look out for organically certified, pesticide-free, mycotoxin tested, and high polyphenol content. You can find that on some labels. Plus, if you're buying decaf, look for the words water process extraction, because that means the decaffeination process avoids traces of solvent residues being left behind, inevitably. responsibly. So for me, I buy whole beans. I keep them in an airtight container. I buy little and often to keep the beans fresh. And once you buy your beans, all forms of coffee, whatever, beans or dried, actually ground, should be kept cool and dry, never in the fridge or the freezer, because the higher humidity levels there can encourage mould growth. So there we have it. Are you a coffee fan? What do you think? Has this opened your eyes perhaps to a few positives, maybe a few negatives? But that's the whole point, isn't it? To have these discussions. So anyway, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you see the next video automatically when it gets loaded. I'm going to be doing a deep dive into so many of these subjects. I was researching a lot of this for my new book, A Better Second Half, that comes out in April. I'll also pop a little link to pre-order, because if you're interested in this, I think you're absolutely going to love the book. It's filled with so much good stuff. I learned a lot researching and writing it, and it's going to be great to share it. So anyway, until the next time, go well. Bye-bye.